Let's start nice and easy. Just introduce yourself. What do you do? Who you are? All that kind of fun.
So, hi, I'm Atholl. I'm 24. I feel like this is like it is an interview, but I feel like I don't know, like I'm doing like a TV show type thing. Like I'm about to go on Mastermind, you know, when they sit in the chair and they're like, so my specialist subject is, so I'm Atholl, I'm 24, I live in Scotland, and I am currently a waiter, but not for much longer. Hopefully.
How long have you been doing YouTube?
So this is kind of like broken into two, because I've been doing like vlogging, like videos like this for about 2 years. But is it like a year? No, yeah, it'll be 2 years in January, February-ish time. However, when I was younger, I did like singing on YouTube, and I did that, I'm sure it was 10 years ago, I uploaded my first video. Actually, no, it'll be 11 years ago, because I uploaded my first video in February of 2007. I totally missed the trick though, because I should have just like kept going with it and just kept doing YouTube continuously. Yeah. And I might have been like a Zoella at this precise moment, but I'm not.
Does your family know you're doing YouTube, and like what do they think of it if they do know?
Well, my sister's been in most of my videos, well, not most of my videos, but if I've had someone with me in my videos, it's mainly been my older sister Zoe. All my family know about it. My main family anyway, like the ones that I live with or like close family know about it, and they all love it. My dad literally he was one time like sitting with his iPad and he was laughing at something. I was like, what is this bitch laughing at? And then I looked and I was like, oh, it's me. My twin sister, because I've got a twin, she watches my videos as well, but she is yet to be on one because she's very camera shy.
What made you want to start YouTube?
When I went to uni, a lot of people said, oh, you should have a YouTube channel. And I was like, well, I do, but I don't post. And then they were like, oh, you'd be so funny. And then I went through a stage at uni where all my friends basically sort of stopped speaking to me. And then I was like, right, okay, well, what can I do with all this spare time? And then I literally saved up money and got all this stuff, like my lights and camera and everything like that. And then just was like, right, okay, you've bought all this stuff now. You're gonna need to actually do it. So then I just sat one day when I was on my own because my flatmate went to the gym, and then I was just like, right, okay, let's just do this now, because if you never do it now, you're never gonna do it. And then the rest is history.
Who or what inspires you to like keep going, like in life generally, but also like YouTube wise?
So YouTube wise, I actually love the interaction from smaller YouTubers. Like for instance, she's like she comments on literally every video. I could probably upload a video of me having a poo and she would be like there like in the comments going, this is amazing. Like that is a big thing, is sort of the interaction and like seeing that other people, especially like with me as well, of sort of having like cystic fibroma and like having a disfigurement and then uploading a video about it, and then having so many other people who've like either hit me up on Instagram or Twitter or in the comment section of my videos and have been like, oh my god, I have the same thing as you. And it's so nice to see someone else that has the same condition as me but be so open about it and actually post videos and show the world that like we are just normal people just like everyone else. And in life, I would definitely say like my family are like one of my biggest inspirations, because we've all sort of gone through our own little things and like still come through the other side. And yeah.
You mentioned your disfigurement video, and I just wanted to ask, like, if it's not like too personal, when did you first notice that you're not like everyone else?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you know what? That's actually so bizarre that you say that, because that was one of the main things that I missed out on actually doing that video, because it was such a long video and I had to condense it and sort of get rid of some points. I forgot to add like when I noticed that I was different. So it was when I was younger. It was because I think everyone in school doesn't really care anyway when you're younger. I never really noticed it when I was younger, like sort of early primary school. I would say probably when I was about 8 or 9, and I would go out with my family, like say for instance to the supermarket, and I would notice people looking at me, and it wasn't just like a, oh look, and then walk away. It was sort of like they would literally look at me and then just like be transfixed, and I was like, oh, they're actually looking at me, why are they looking at me? And then I started to sort of learn more that why they were looking at me, and it was because I was different. And for instance, it was always older people as well, always older people, and there would be times where like people would be looking at me and my sisters would notice it and move in front of me, or like sort of move me so that they couldn't see, and the person would move so that they could still see me. And then that was then that I kind of was like, okay, there's something not quite right here.
What was like your biggest life lesson, like from that, kind of from noticing that you have the disfigurement and just kind of moving on with it?
That was a tough journey, and it's one that I'm still kind of on. You never fully, not that you don't fully accept it, but it's a hard one to kind of process. But I think you just like learn certain ways and certain quirks, and sort of, for instance, for me, one of my biggest things is my personality. Like, once you see me, you might be a bit like, oh, okay, he looks a bit different. But then once you actually get to know me, the amount of people that say, I don't even notice that you look any different from me, because you're just you and your personality is so big that it would never be a problem. And I think learning to sort of deal with it was a big mental thing, because it used to be, I used to not go outside. I mentioned that in the disfigurement video. I used to not go outside because I'd be like, oh no, everyone's just going to look at me. It was more of a learning to not be bothered what other people think, because it doesn't impact who you are as a person, and it doesn't impact me as who I am as a person. I mean, if someone wants to look at me, they can look at me. It doesn't change who I am or how I feel about myself. And that was a big sort of learning curve for me, was learning that other people's opinions of me don't really matter.
So did you ever want to like restart life, and like what would you change, or was that never an idea in your head?
I mean, there has been times where when I was younger and I just kind of was like, one of my biggest things in life was that I wish I could just walk down a really busy supermarket and no one look at me. And that was one of my biggest things. I was always like, oh, I wish I could just look like someone else for the day, just so I could like walk down a supermarket and no one would look at me. And then I don't know what kind of clicked, was sort of where I wouldn't change anything, because it's who I am as a person, and it's made me the person that I am today. And I think it was just sort of like, the more you look for something, the more you're going to find it. So if I went outside and sort of looked for people looking at me, I would find it. Whereas if I didn't really take note of it, I didn't really notice it. And that was the way, the point that I realised that I'd sort of mastered that was when I went to university and met all these new people, and all these new people would get really defensive if we went out and they were like, oh, did you see that person that was looking at you? And I was like, well, no, because I don't notice it anymore, because I don't care. And that sort of solidified for me that everything that I've gone through has led to me being me today, and that I wouldn't change anything.
What did you want to become as a child? What was like your big dream growing up?
So, my big dream, I had this all figured out, and when, you know, in the class in primary school, when they'd be like, so what do you want to be when you're older? I would have it all worked out, had a map plan, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to go to New Orleans, I'm going to become a jazz singer in a bar, and it's going to be the best thing ever. And everyone was like, right, okay, yep, kind of not there yet. I will get there one day, but yeah, that was like my biggest dream. I always wanted to be a jazz singer in like a band or whatever, and sort of American New Orleans, because I love New Orleans. New Orleans is like one of the places I really, really, really want to go to. And that was like my dream as a kid, and that didn't change. Now all these people, all these fake people who are like, I want to be a policeman, and the next day they're like, I want to be a dentist. I was like, well, Rebecca, that's not what you said yesterday. Things change. It didn't change for me. It was always, I want to be a singer. I want to be a jazz singer. That was what it was.
Is that still like your big dream? Is that still something you really want to do?
I would love to, yeah, be a singer. That would be great for me. Maybe not jazz, but I would love to be a singer. That's still something that I would love to do, but I don't know how to play piano, and I've tried, and then I think it's just because I'm too old now. That's what they say. It's very hard to learn piano when you're older. And I was like, well, I'll prove them wrong, but it's proven me right, which is great.
Are you happy with what you're currently doing with your life?
I wasn't for a time, because I didn't want to be a waiter, and it's not like the best job. Like being a waiter, you're always going to be a waiter. There's no up point from that. There's no progression. You're always just going to be a waiter. You're always going to be on the minimum wage or whatever. And there was a point in my life where I was looking for jobs and looking for jobs and looking for jobs and thinking, oh, I'm never going to get out of this. and it was just soul destroying. Doing the same thing every day, and I wanted to move away, but I'm still at home, and I was just like, oh, this is literally soul destroying. But I'm better now, where I'm actually fine, because I know there's going to be an end point, so I'm not as bothered anymore.
What's like your goal in life, and also how far do you want to like take your YouTube? Is it part of your like life goal, or is it more of a thing you're doing right now?
A life goal. Ooh, that is a big one, because there's so many like subcategories to life goal. But I know everyone says, oh, I want to be happy, but that's not really my life goal. I just want to be in a career-driven job that makes me financially stable, and that I can maybe have something that is mine, like a flat or a house. Then I could be like, okay, that is a big goal of mine, is to be financially stable and have something that's my own. And my YouTube goal, I don't know, because I flip-flop and change, because I'm not the best at uploading weekly or monthly. There are times where I'm like so driven to it, and I could literally sit and film like 10 videos in one day and edit them all, and they'll all be scheduled and everything. Like at the start of the year, I was so good. I think I uploaded weekly from January all the way to the end of April, and then I flip-flop and change, and I'm like, oh, because it's so disheartening with YouTube when like you're putting out content, and you're putting out content that you enjoy, or that you enjoy making, and you just don't see any growth from it. And it's just kind of like your subscribers stay the same, or you upload a video and 5 people unsubscribe, and you're like, well, great. But YouTube, I think I would like to continue doing YouTube, whether it's to be sort of like a big sort of YouTuber. I don't know, that doesn't really bother me as much now, but I do think I do enjoy sitting and sort of giving my take on certain things, or like reacting to certain things, or yeah, so I think I would still do it, but I don't know whether it would be to try and be like the next person to hit 1 million subscribers or whatever.
What are you most proud of that you have like achieved in life, that you first thought was like impossible, but now you're like really happy it happened?
Oh, there's so many things, because when I was younger and I was born, I was told that I'd never walk, I'd never talk, I'd never be able to live without care, I'd never be able to live on my own, I'd never be able to drive or be independent. So I think that's like one of my biggest things, is that I have done everything that I was told that I couldn't do, because I don't live with care. I can talk, I don't stop talking. I can drive, I can walk, and I can be independent. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that I managed to be independent when I was told that I probably would never be independent.
What's the most important thing you want people to know about you?
Probably just that people know that I'm a normal person, and I think that's a big thing, because that's such a big misconception with people that do have cystic hygroma or facial palsy, is that a lot of people do think you're like retarded, or that you can't do certain things. Like I've had situations where people have talked to me really slow, and I'm like, I can't understand you. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me doing YouTube, is that I would love to just, if it just proves to one person that, you know, people that do have cystic hygroma or do look different don't necessarily have the learning difficulties that sometimes go with it, or that are there sometimes, but a lot of the time for people with cystic hygroma it's not. And it's so frustrating, because that's one of the main things from people that have messaged me, or oh, your thing about people thinking that you're slow or whatever happens to me all the time. And to just prove to some people that, you know, you can have cystic hygroma and look different, but you're still a normal person, you can still do anything that anyone else can do, was like one of the biggest things that I wanted to prove by doing YouTube.
We're already at the last question. You've been doing great so far. To kind of close it off nicely, I guess, what's your favourite part about yourself?
I don't know. That is a hard question. What's my favourite part about myself? Oh, you're gonna have to do some editing with this, cause oh no, I don't like this question. I find it hard to be nice to myself sometimes. Probably my favourite part of me is my sense of humour. Yeah, I'll go with that. Because everyone's always like, oh my god, you're so funny, or my one-liners are hilarious, or whatever. So yeah, my sense of humour, because it makes me me, it's a big part of me. So yeah, My sense of humour, I'll go with that. I think it's always one of those things, is one of the things that we as humans find the most difficult is to actually be nice to ourselves and to compliment ourselves, because I think a lot of people don't do it. And a lot of people don't do it enough, I think, because a lot of people kind of think if you're nice about yourself or you compliment yourself that it's a bad thing or like an egotistical thing. Oh, my cat just came in. This is Alfie. Are you saying hello?
Thank you so much. This has been lovely.
I won't tell Kita, but you know what they say, first the worst, second the best, so...
I'm gonna keep that in just to like, just so Kita can see that.
She'll probably be like, oh well, yep, I'll give him that one.